I've just been doing some, thinking back of my entire entrepreneurial journey. It feels freaking lonely in the beginning, doesn't it? Like I said, I was thinking back about when I started my company 16 years ago, and my daughter was 3 at the time. I left corporate America. I was there for almost 10 years. I was in advertising. And when I was in corporate America, like I was always on the go. I was meeting with new business owners. I worked with a lot of the beer and wine and spirits distributors here in South Florida. I worked with car dealerships and their agencies. That was like my niche when I worked over at iHeartRadio. And when I left corporate, because honestly, the business itself, the company itself was going through so many transitions. In fact, if you guys know anything about iHeart, it wasn't even called iHeartRadio at that time. It was called Clear Channel, and they were going through their own crazy transitions, right? I felt like a number. I worked my butt off, and no matter how hard I worked, it still like didn't seem like enough. And I was keeping like just a percentage of that. I will say I was there starting like right out of college. So from my 20s, like since I was about 23 or so, I was already making really great money. I left there already making 6 figures. And when I left, and like I said, always on the go, meeting new people in meetings, going to events, it was like a very fun and nonstop type of career to be in. It was perfect at that time. But then once my daughter came and, she's 3 years old and I'm working and hustling, I decided to leave. It was time to leave and all the transitions happening with corporate. But when I left and I started Hype Media, oh my gosh, did I feel so freaking lonely, right? Like, has anyone else felt this way? It was lonely. It's like I was home by myself working from my home office. And I was like, what do I do today? Luckily, I had a few clients that left with me. So it was great because I had a few clients. So I had some business. I didn't have new business. I had some, and it took me a while to get new business because I was marketing myself completely the wrong way. Because here's the thing, my husband does not own his own business. He's not an entrepreneur. So for me to tell him like what I was dealing with and the struggles, it was not relatable. As much as I know he really wanted to help me and be like a sounding board for me, he just was not. It's not his fault. None of my friends owned their own business, not at that time. And even so now, my close friends, they don't own their own business. Right? Most of my colleagues do, and my business buddies do, of course, but not my close friends. Other than my brother, who's 4 years younger, and at that time, he didn't own his own business. Now he's got a way successful business. And my dad, who used to own his own business, like nobody could really relate to me. So I ended up joining, I don't know, it's probably like 10 to 15 in-person networking groups. At this time, Meetup was like a really cool thing to get to know networking groups locally, right? So I was on Meetup. I was attending all of these networking groups. A lot of them were a waste of time, but I'm like, I need to get myself out there. I need to be in these spaces. I would say that probably like 80% of them did nothing for me, except they made me feel like, okay, I'm around other people that actually can relate to business because these are all other business owners, right? So the energy is different. Okay. And for many of you, you are still in this lonely space of entrepreneurship, right? The thing is you don't have to be lonely. And I didn't have a mentor at this time. So again, that's why it was hard for me to actually, grow and get out of my head and do things that made me feel uncomfortable because I really didn't have someone holding me accountable. I kept doing the same things over and over again that just were not working. Now, what has made a huge shift in my business, I would say probably about 7, 8 years in, and that's a long time, right? To wait. But this is part of being an entrepreneur. And, when you're looking to have a business that's leaving a legacy, that's making impact, and that's long-term, that's not just looking for these like short, quick fixes and trendy 15 minutes of fame is like what I like to call them. What made the biggest shift for me is when I started to work with my very first coach, and I jumped into a couple of courses. Now, these courses one of them was on how to like build a membership. which by the way, the membership that I built after that, like totally bombed. The course itself was information overload and it wasn't cheap. It was like, I mean, for me at that time, it was not inexpensive. It was, I think it was around $3,000, $3,500, like all at once, right? Because this course, it was only over like an 8-week period. And that's what you had to pay. I think maybe there was like a 2 payment option. So it wasn't the course itself that really I gained much out of. It was the people that I started to hang out with virtually inside of this course. Okay. Now, when things really started to shift, and the other thing I have to say about this, there were thousands of people in this course. Okay. So you didn't get to have like any conversation with the actual host of the course, with the course creator, the expert. It was like with their team, things like that. But what made really the biggest shift is when I started working with my very first coach and I put myself in a room with other entrepreneurs that were very similar in stage in their business, right? These were entrepreneurs that they had a business offline in person. They were successful, just like myself, offline and in person, but they felt lonely and they needed a place to have fellowship, to have a sounding board, to have, people that they can count on to give them feedback and vice versa. It felt like a real community. And so I'm sharing this with you because that is exactly what it feels like and what it is when you are inside of our communities. And this is exactly why I have created my communities the way that they have been created, right? So I shared with many of you about the incubator. I've shared with you about the society. And most of you, your place is the society. And not just because of the financial, the difference in investment, incubator to society, but I want you to know that whichever route you go, you are in a place with a group of people, a community that is there. It's not just me mentoring and guiding you, but you have a community of people that are also working on a very similar mission. It might look different, right? Their journey will look different, but we are all on the same mission. And so that is the work of a true mastermind, of a true community of masterminds, because we all are masterminds, bringing our minds together to work together. And so, I keep hearing the same thing. Like and because I've spoken to many of you over the last like 2 weeks and we still have some calls, but I've heard many of you say, yeah, I've been in so many other coaching programs and I get the methods, but no one is actually helping me implement them. Or I never had an opportunity to actually speak to the coach. I only got to speak to like their team, right? Or I had questions and I asked them and they never got answered, right? Or I got the information, but I don't know how to actually make it work, customize it specifically to my business. Right. And that's the problem, because information alone is not enough. And you doing things alone is not enough if you want to get to the next level in your business. Most of you have been in the same place for more than a year, and that is just not okay. And for some of you, like you've been in the same place for like 3, 4, or 5 years, and that is absolutely not okay. I mean, how can you have a sustainable business running your business that way, right? So I want you to know that, and I thought this would be a great message to share with everyone, that working with us, specifically in the society, which is where most of you that I've been speaking with, we've been having discussions about the society. Information alone is not enough. If it were, then everyone that joined a course or joined a mastermind would be thriving. Okay. What moves the needle is the execution. It's the strategy. It's the sounding board, being able to have a place to have feedback, to have fellowship, to work as an actual community. And yes, done with you support. Absolutely. To me, one of the only ways, or one of the only factors, because there's a lot of factors involved in a true mastermind that works really well, but one of the only factors to actually move things forward. So if you feel like, I've been in other places, they've been in other containers and they said that they were going to work with me, but they really didn't. It was just a bunch of information. We're not just talking at you inside of the society. Okay. We are in the trenches with you. And it's not just me. I have my team. So we are helping you to rewrite your messaging word for word, so it actually converts. Your offers word for word, your landing pages that you want me to look at, your email campaigns that you want me to look at, We are tweaking things with you. We're guiding you through your content creation so that it starts to build authority and it's attracting your ideal clients. It's speaking to the right people. People are actually finding you. I want people to respond to your messages. So I'm helping you with that. I'm giving you real time, a real space to ask questions, to actually get feedback and to move forward fast. No more sitting on the information that you learned throughout this workshop, waiting to figure it all out, waiting to implement everything that I shared with you. There's no reason to wait because along the way, you're going to have some hiccups, right? And having that sounding board, having that place where you can truly like count on me and everyone else in the community to help you move forward is so necessary. So this is where you actually do the work with support. Now, if you want a magic button, this is not for you to be jumping into any of my programs. Doesn't matter if it's just a part of our vault or our society or our incubator. We're doing most of the work for you. You still have to do work, right? So, all right. I can't wait to welcome you in. Bye, guys.